Step outside of your safe area and make a statement without saying much with FCK Clout Lifestyle Apparel. Embrace the colorful chaos and stay emotionally regulated in their graphic tees, hoodies, snapbacks, accessories, and more. Go to fckclout.com today and check out current season and past season merchandise for men and women. Get it while you can. That's fckclout.com. Check them out today. fckclout.com. It's the In Route, where friends of the show get a special segment with us. Want to be part of the action? Want to be the newest member of the In Crowd? Well, you know what to do. Hit us up, faderoutemail@gmail.com, or slide in our DMs on IG at FadeRoutePodcast, or drop us a line on X at FadeRouteDNZ, and you could be next. Joining us on the In Route this evening is owner of FCK Clout Lifestyle Apparel, Argentina and Mets superfan, Gil Godoy. What's up, brother? You were in DR. It's nice to know you're alive.
Yes, I had to wash away my sins the last 2 days. But so there's a lot of water used for that.
Oh, man. Nice to know you made it back, man. It was touch and go. It was touch and go with the Wi-Fi.
You know, it was terrible out there. I'm surprised these hotels haven't figured it out yet. You know how disappointing it is, because a lot of tourists now from the States or the Americas and Europe go there, that they don't use cash so much. So they use the pen, when you tap your card. Yeah. So they have to actually move the device to a window to get. I'm like, really? We're doing this in 2024?
Oh God! So fiber optic is out of the question completely.
Fiber in general.
Alcohol and bad decisions.
Exactly. In a pool, as close as possible.
Good times.
Yes,
good times. So speaking of good times, you were in the crowd at MetLife Stadium for Argentina's 1-0 victory over Chile in the group stage of Copa America. The attendance was 81,106, one of the largest, if not the largest, crowds for Copa America. So what was the atmosphere like, and how did it compare to your World Cup experience in Qatar?
Well, I think the fan base around Messi is still huge. It's still strong. And I don't think people realize it, regardless of the debate with Ronaldo, Messi. This is a farewell tour for the both of them. So everybody's trying to get the access to see a game of him and witness history regardless, but also try to do it at a lower cost. You know, I spent a lot of money going to the World Cup. That's different than most people. Although these prices were pretty expensive for the tickets. I think the overall experience was still there because you got a lot of South Americans to go witness him in the tri-state area. And I hope this is a wake-up call for American soccer in a lot of ways. First of all, traffic was terrible. So we missed most of the first half.
Oh, shit, really?
Yes. And then the security was terrible. They were giving me a hard time for a GoPro 10 because they didn't want it in the stadium. But I'm like, I have an iPhone that does the same exact thing. Like, what difference does it make at this point? Like, it's 2024. Why are you heckling someone for a pocket device when I have a cell phone with me? So it was terrible. And, just getting there was bad. Security was bad. Bathrooms, drinks was bad. Like, when I went to Qatar, we had 89,000 people in that Lusail Stadium for the Mexico game, and getting a drink took me 3 minutes. Going to the bathroom took me 2 minutes. They were just built for it. And they did that in 4 years. This stadium has been around for 20 years. They're nowhere ready for it. Nowhere ready for it.
And everybody go to FCK Clout, go to their YouTube page, and you can see Gil's vlog from when he went to Qatar. It is night and day by comparison. Oh yeah. But dude, I'm not surprised though, because over the summer last year we went to when the Premier League was doing their American tour. Trying to get out of that stadium was a cluster. It was absolutely insane. MetLife Stadium is just not built for this.
Honestly, at this point, the one takeaway from Qatar was if you get these people to that stadium late, where they're already overpaid, and it's going to take them forever to go home, you might as well get Laker out of the equation, because they're going to be so irate, they're going to damage the place. Because the parking lot, consider the parking lot charging about $150 now for a Giants game. They should just get rid of parking in general, because most people couldn't even get out for hours, and then you had American Dream next to you that hoarded up the rest of the park. You should just get buses parking and tailgating. That's all you should have there. Have food trucks there, like make it a cultural experience. Yeah. That's how you make the money back. But I don't see America ready for it. I just think they're like, oh, we have stadiums, we're good. Their infrastructure, believe it or not, is terrible. Believe it or not, it's not ready for it.
No, I believe it. I completely believe it. And you know what? Like, Messi is going to come with Inter Miami in September to the Bronx, and they're going to be at NYCFC. Like, how the hell is the 4 train? How's the South Bronx going to support that level of crush? Like, that's going to be like the Yankees, like, times 10.
Yeah. I mean, you got to understand that, like, in Miami now alone, it's predominantly like Spanish communities, like Cubans in particular, but it's almost flipped overnight when Messi came. There's a huge traffic flow of Argentinians and South Americans now, just for that reason. I mean, even AFA is considering opening up a complex there to start growing American-born Argentinians. So it's like, they're getting the picture, Americans are not.
No, I believe it. I definitely believe it. So Argentina did advance. They got through Chile, they got through Ecuador, and now they're drawing Canada in the semis. But they narrowly escaped Ecuador on PKs. So this is the deepest Canada has ever advanced in Copa America. So what is Argentina's game plan? What are they going to have to do to take down our neighbors to the north? And who is the one player not named Messi that's going to step up?
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to call upset right now.
No.
I'm calling upset for one reason. The first game against Canada, I said it even to my aunt, who's hardcore Argentinian. I said the Canadians are what America wants to be. They're taller, young, and they're fast. The thing they cannot do is finish. They're not ready to finish yet.
Yeah.
And you saw in that first half, in the first game, they could have scored 4 or 5 attempts. And I think Argentina got away with a draw in that first half. Now, I understand the methods of the game right now for Argentina. Scaloni's thought process in this is, if we get to the finals, great for morale, great for the country, great for the team. But logistically, what he's trying to do is get the younger players on the field with less of Messi on the field. Yeah. So these last couple of games, especially with Ecuador, what you just saw was not a poor performance from Messi, but what you saw was his purpose on the field to draw defenders so other guys get open. Other guys' job is to score now. It's no longer Messi's job. Messi's a distraction on the field. They're just trying to put the younger guys in to feel the pressure of high-intensity games. This is one of the perfect tournaments 2 years out of the World Cup. So they're not feeling the pressure of winning. Granted, if they don't win, it's a disappointment. The fans will feel it. But if they're going to lose, I think this will be the game they lose, because Canada just came out of a tough game. And you know what? They proved themselves. They have some guts. And this is the type of team that USA strives to be. And they're not there yet. So I think Canada could pull off the biggest upset in Copa America. I'm calling it. It's good. Either they win 3-1 or Argentina pulls off another lackluster performance for the fans' eyes. But I still think they're just doing this to warm up their young players.
You figure, like, CONCACAF has got to be, like, doing fucking cartwheels if Canada makes it to the finals of Copa America.
Yeah, you know, and that's the thing. Like, I wouldn't knock Canada if they do beat us, because still, I think Argentina's bench should be sufficient enough to win this game. But last game, Canada's only gotten better, and they've gotten stronger, and they've gotten more confident, and that's what's important. They know that last game they could have scored more. They know that, and they know they didn't have Argentina really taking them seriously. That's great. So in the first half, you got to come out swinging. Because if you notice, Argentina's played steadier and better this tournament in the second half. They've adjusted smart. Even in Chile, they scored in the second half. You know, they've adjusted. And ideally, it's when Di Maria's on the field. Yeah. Not when Messi's on the field. It's when Di Maria's on the field. And people forget that. So when he's on the field, they're able to open up the field a lot more. They do a lot of cross from midfield across the field. It's like throwing across your shoulder. You see a lot of those cross play action to Di Maria. So until he's on the field, Canada really has nothing to worry about. Unless they really found Messi. Then it's a whole different ballgame. But Messi's not there to score. He's just there to be a distraction. Because he might not even make it to the next World Cup.
I mean, yeah, 2 years older. Like, he's already been hampered with a leg injury. Like, you know, and that PK, like he tried to do the, just there was no power behind it. It was just all finesse, and he just doinked it off the crossbar.
He's having fun because you got to remember now he doesn't have the pressure of saying, "Will he win a World Cup anymore?" He's literally just having fun, and people will be like, "Oh, he's not the same." No, he doesn't have a leg injury. He's always had bruises, yes, but the reason they say, "Oh, it's a leg injury," is so the fans who bought tickets to that game already don't get surprised when he doesn't play or doesn't start, because that's what you're paying to see. Right. So if the team says in advance, "Oh yeah, it's a leg injury," time management in the NBA, it's kind of just saying like, "Listen, we're just going to sit him. We don't really need him for this game.
Right.
We're not going to put him out there for no reason. Unless we're in the finals, it's not that serious for us. Like if we win it, great. We won it 2 years ago, 4 years ago, not a big deal. Whatever be the case, we're not going to go crazy and put this old man out there again. He's won everything. There's nothing else he needs to prove. The thing is, can Argentina learn to play without him? That's what we're trying to answer right now with his young guns.
No, definitely. And like both Martinez's have showed it, like Lautaro and Lisandro, like Julian Alvarez has been pretty good. Like, there's a lot of power, there's a lot of firepower, and there's a lot of Premier League level talent on this team. So, it's definitely like, it's something that it's going to be a hell of a match.
Like, it will be. And I tell you, Canada's going to come out fast. They're going to come out fast, and they're going to play the ball high because the Argentinians are not as slow. And they just have to finish. They have to close the play down. And I can see an upset. I can definitely see an upset, and that would be the biggest one of the tournament.
Well, one team that isn't moving on, and one team that can't be upset because they played like crap, is the U.S. men's national team. They bowed out early in this tournament after losing to both Panama and Uruguay. The Uruguay match was riddled with physicality, referee controversy, and a lack of killer instinct from the U.S. So what does the USMNT have to do in order to improve their squad in time for the World Cup 2026? I mean, is it all just about firing Greg Berhalter?
You see, it's not even that, because at the end of the day, the players still have to play. And the reality is this: you're playing on your American soil, but you have no stripes. You have to earn them. You're playing a Uruguayan team that has 2 more stars than you, has been doing it for over 100 years. And the last time you probably faced them with a competitive team was the first World Cup in 1934, when the U.S. went to the quarterfinals. So it's no surprise that you can say, well, the refs did this. Yeah, there was a lot of bad calls. And this tournament is a lot of bad calls.
Yeah.
But you have not earned the Jordan rule or the Messi rule or the Ronaldo rule. Your team has not earned that. Pulisic, yeah, he's good, but Messi at that age was putting up 50 goals in a year. Oh, so it's like what Ronaldo was doing. So USA has yet to earn their stripes. And the thing is, as mechanically good as that team looks at times, they're not instinctive. And I don't think people understand how important that is in soccer. Most of your best talent in soccer came from poor, violent environments. So instinctively, they had to learn how to survive in the street, make it to the stadium, and get back home safe. So you understand why a Messi, who grew up in Rosario, has that instinct to want to get out of his bad neighborhood. Or Ronaldo. Ronaldo lived in slums in Portugal's islands. Beckham, same thing. Rooney, Pelé, these guys learned instinctively what to do. Now, what happens is if you times that by 11 or 10 other guys on the field, now you have a good team. You see, the Americans are so paid to play, they don't have instinct. They don't have IQ. Maybe one guy does, not all of them. So what they're not doing is that extra IQ pass. You see, when Argentina countered in one of their first 2 games off the sideline, I think it was the left side of the field, countered up the field, and about 3 passes and 2 headers and the chest pass, same they did with France, it's because they instinctively know what to do. They don't have to be told what to do. The only thing they have to be reminded is to not give up on the ball. Because sometimes they get a little lazy. When they feel they're dominant, they're going to get lazy. But America doesn't have that. America doesn't have kids from off the street, like Mighty Ducks. When they pick them up off the street, they don't have those types of talent. They just have kids that know how to follow direction well. But that direction can only go so far when the coach is not physically on the field with you. And that's why I always say it. I said it in our last podcast, and I'll say it again. I said it to you. The last couple World Cups we've enjoyed together is USA is always 20 to 25 years behind. Because don't forget, Messi's 5'5", and he runs through those teams. Yeah. He's a matter of 6 feet tall, if not more, and they could barely put the ball in the net. But they expect the call when they haven't earned anything. Not going to happen.
That's fair. And it's one of those things that now you have, this isn't the golden generation. I don't want to hear that this group is the golden generation. The golden generation has not been born yet.
No,
So
not at all.
like you had Lawless, you had Landon Donovan, you had Clint Dempsey, you had all those. They didn't win shit either. So you know what? Like I can't even say that this generation is better than that team. Like I got to say that, like, you know, and I'm with Alexi Lawless on this. Like there's a lot of coddling, and they've improved the facilities, they've improved the transportation, they've improved the stature of the company.
How much money do these players make per game, win or lose? The USA players.
Yeah, about 10 times more than the women who've actually won something.
Exactly. And how much do they get paid versus a Colombian player,
right,
or a Uruguayan player on the when they play a national game?
Right. Think about the Escobars. You know, like that dude fucking died. Like nobody's killing a U.S. player if they fuck up.
Yeah,
she's
exactly.
Like, you get him next time.
And you see, the thing was, he got killed at a bar because a fan yelled at him, and that's when it all came out. But the reality is, the USA players get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars per game, or tens of thousands of dollars. An Argentinian gets probably 60, and most of that is just donated back to either AFA or to the women's team or to a hospital in that country they're playing in. Yeah. You remember when Germany beat Argentina, they made in Brazil, all the players donated their money to one child that needed surgery. Like, they're not playing for the money. You see, the USA guys just pick up a paycheck that pays more than MLS.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's great. That's cute. But that's why they'll always be 25 years behind. They got to remove the pay-to-play mentality.
No, it's true. Absolutely. There's that suburban mindset. And like the whole Gio Reyna thing with Claudio Reyna and Greg Berhalter is like, it just shows you that sense of entitlement that, oh, my son doesn't get a chance to play. I mean, this is the highest level of soccer. And it's like, you're going to pull that shit now? Like that petty, my son's not going to get to play, so I'm going to rat you out kind of thing. Like, that was just so petty and so stupid. It's not even funny. And like, I get that, you know, this group of guys, right? I mean, you got Turner, who plays for Forest. You have McKinney, who last played for Leeds. Now he plays for Juventus. Now he's probably going to play, you know, he's probably going to, I think he's going to FC Cincinnati possibly. You have Pulisic, who plays in Serie A. You have multiple guys who play in the Premier League. And, you know, well, and I always have this conversation with my girl, with the boys. It's like, just because, you're on a Premier League team, that doesn't mean you're playing. Yeah. Right? Pulisic rode the fucking bench on Chelsea. Now, maybe that was Chelsea's fault, but still, he was a bench warmer on Chelsea. Like, Gio Reyna is a bench warmer on Forest. Matt Turner started the year as the keeper and got pulled. The only guy who's pulling starting minutes, the only two guys I think who are pulling starting minutes are Tim Ream on Fulham and Crystal Palace's Chris Richards. Are those the guys you're hanging your hat on? So, that, you know, Crystal Palace stinks. They think they were 11th this year, and Fulham was like 13th. So there you go. Like that's the talent level that you're dealing with. You know, don't tell me about U.S. talent, because it's not there yet. It's not there. You could bring in any coach. You could bring in the greatest coaches in the world. The reality is they don't understand how to play soccer instinctively. When I was young, I had Pele's brother come to Brooklyn, New York with Pele's mother in 3 convoy vans. Yeah. Unannounced. Now, keep in mind, I lived across the street from Notion housing projects. They came unannounced, and my father says, "Pack your bags, you're going to Brazil." I started crying like a kid. I'm a child. My mom was like, "No." Long story short, I didn't end up going. The reality was, my father made an agreement with Pele's brother because they had worked on the board for the Cosmos in the 80s. And I was going to go to Brazil for about 3 to 4 years to play soccer. That's what you do with American kids. You ship them out, and you let them learn. What happened to Ronaldo when he went to Europe? He cried every day calling his mother. Right. You know, but guess what? He became one of the greatest of all time. Because they have to learn how to sacrifice everything. These kids don't get it. Guess what? They lose. They go home to a nice $1 million home, you know, white collar family. That's great. Kudos to you. You've done it. But the reality is, you're never going to win it. You're never going to have a star on your shirt. Nowhere in hell. There's no depth. There's no future right now in U.S. soccer except the money that comes into it. It's the only reason it's around. Yeah, no, definitely. And you know what? It's something to be said about that. The U.S. women have had to fight from under, just like the Argentinians at different contexts. You know, not necessarily poverty, but they've had to fight from underneath in the context of, you know, women's rights. Yeah. So that's definitely. And here's the reality. Here's the reality for women's soccer. The other countries are catching up now. You know, they're not winning every game like 14-0, and it's not a manslaughter. See, that's why we talk less of women's soccer in America, because they're not as dominant as they used to be. Granted, they won one of the more recent tournaments and get it.
But the reality is, most countries didn't give the women a serious chance. But now those girls are playing alongside their national partners, and they're learning the IQ factor. The Argentinians, the Brazilians, they're playing with their national men's counterparts. That's crazy because the U.S. women aren't doing that. And the thing is, they're not going to get any better with doing it anyway because these guys aren't as good IQ-wise. To sit there and play with Messi, be coached by, who was it? Who's coaching them right now? Higuain or whomever. Someone's coaching the women's team that used to play in Argentina. Like, that's insane resources. You don't, as long as you give me dirt, that's still insane resources. And that's the thing. Like, the technicality is going to be different now. These next couple of World Cups, you might see the trophies exchange a couple of hands and a few upsets. You know, but don't be surprised that if USA doesn't start dominating as well either, because they were great mechanically, but you're now encountering teams that are great instinctively and mechanically. So there's the lopsidedness for women's soccer.
Yeah, and you know what? You're right. They're one of many fish now because you have Sweden, you have Japan, you have Brazil, you have Argentina, you have England. There are lots of powers that have caught up or if not surpassed U.S. women's soccer. But the men can only dream of that because, you know, they're resting on some kind of reputation that they haven't earned.
Yep, exactly. But, if they remove the paycheck, ask yourself how many of them would actually play for the team.
It's a good question. It's a great question.
Keep your endorsement deal, but take away the paycheck.
Yeah. Well, a guy like Florian Balogun, right? He has dual citizenship. Like, would he have come to the States? Or, you know, is it just the fact that he would never get playing time for England? Like, is that the thing? Like, would he still have come over?
I mean, look at Miami FC before Messi. What place were they in last season? Dead last.
Dead fucking last. Yeah.
Okay. This season with a 35 or 36-year-old Messi and a brand new older midfielder and a fullback in the back on the same team. What place are they in right now?
Number one.
Exactly. Why? Because they brought IQ to the team.
Yeah.
They brought IQ. Messi has 6 goals and 6 assists. Yeah. He's such a balanced person. He's trying to step away from the goal scoring and give them the opportunity. This is how you need to cut. When the guy misses the pass, he's yelling at him like, "You got to see that cut. That has to be instinctive. I should not tell you to go there. You should know to go there." That's how he is, and that's how they play.
Right. And it's one of those things that you would think that with all of the influx of aging European talent, that would have happened in the MLS because you brought in David Beckham. Wayne Rooney played here. Zlatan played here. David Villa played here. Pirlo played here. And just in New York alone, you had Pirlo, Lampard, and David Villa. So, like, there has been plenty of European influence here, and it is still very, like, linear. You do get some instinctive play, like guys like Cucho Hernandez and Acosta, and like you have guys who are fluid. But a lot of it, like the majority of the American players, are very much linear.
Exactly.
Yep. As quietly as it's kept, though, like there are other teams in this tournament besides Argentina and the United States. Exactly. I know you're high on Canada, but who's been your biggest surprise and who has been the biggest disappointment in your opinion for Copa America? And you know what? You know, throw in the Euros too if you've been following. Well, you know, who's been surprising to you and who's been disappointing?
In the Euros, the best stat line is own goals. Because, I mean, there's so many of them there.
So many own goals. It's fucking ridiculous, dude.
Whoever that player is, he deserves the trophy because he's winning it. But I'll go back to the Copa first. My team to win it was going to be Uruguay. I feel like they had the better upfront scoring talent. I mean, you got Suarez, who barely comes off the bench, but those guys can produce. I think what's happening is as they get closer to the finals, they're starting to buckle because they've never gotten this far.
Right.
It's fairly a lot of new faces within the last 8 years leading this team. I still think they can pull it off, and they're still my favorite to win it. And of course, Argentina bias is my second option.
Naturally.
But I can definitely see, and I hate to say this, Colombia is surprising me right now. I know James, blah, blah, blah. They actually have a good team on their hands. The thing is, how can they deal with it emotionally? I always say they're like the Yankees minus the rings. They will celebrate every win except the one that matters because they never make it there. So they're like the Yankee fans. Their fans are like huge, and I get it, they're deep, but they have to win. And the thing is, will they win? So I could see Canada upsetting Argentina. If they don't, great. I'm even happier. But I'm not going to be surprised either. My surprise, though, is Colombia, because I didn't think they were going to make it this far. But they did. They did. So I was kind of sad that we beat Ecuador, because I was a little conflicted, because I've met the father and brother of Jeremy Sarmiento on that team at the airport in Qatar.
No way.
So I chat with the brother a lot on Instagram during their games. So I actually designed them a few shirts that I've yet to send out because I need an address. But his brother's really nice, and his father actually manages the account for him. So whenever I see Jerry Sarmiento on there, I'm always like kind of low key rooting for him. So I do wish him well in his future. He's still a young guy. He has about 2 more World Cups in him at best. So I think my favorite is still going to be Uruguay, Argentina second, but I wouldn't be surprised if Colombia and Canada make some upsets. I wouldn't be surprised, because they're just playing with a lot of emotion. The thing is, if it gets too much, they'll buckle, and that's what happens.
Well, and also Uruguay plays a hell of a physical game. I don't know if that's gonna translate very well for Colombia. Now Colombia's been doing great. They're unbeaten. Their last 12 matches, something like that, some ridiculous number. So Suarez, Darwin Nunez, Valverde, they're gonna have their work cut out for them, man, and they're gonna have to rough it up if they're gonna want to get past Colombia, because that could have been a final in and of itself.
The key for both Uruguay and Argentina is ball possession. They have to own ball possession, because what Colombia and what Canada are going to do is strike fast. They're going to try to do a fast break all the time. They know they're not going to win ball possession. I doubt those teams will actually want to ball possess. I think they're going to want to shoot at that goalie early and let them know we're here. So Canada did it in the first half against Argentina. They got the ball and they went straight at the net. Argentina was just like, hey, calm down, little guy, and just held the ball. They weren't trying to attack. They were okay with a tie for all they cared. Same thing with Uruguay. They play very the same way, but the only difference is Uruguay has better forwards right now because they're just taller and more athletic. Yeah. And they can play through the air a lot better. Where Argentina likes to get the ball lower because, obviously, who's in your up front besides Di Maria that's actually tall to get that ball on a one touch, Right. So that's where they differ, but overall, those two teams love to ball possess. And they love the small passes to then counter quick with a cross-field pass like a Di Maria or Suarez if he was playing for Uruguay. So that's what they do. They kind of like play cat and mouse with you, and then they go for the strike. Where these two other teams, Colombia and Canada, need to just go at them, and they probably will. They're going to start off feisty, and they're going to start off very aggressive.
So what do you envision though? Like strike fast. Okay, so maybe if you get one, do you see them automatically going into like a defensive shell, trying to hold on for dear life, or like what would your strategy be at this point? Because like if you're Canada, you can't match Argentina talent for talent. So, so what are you going to do?
That first goal, they're going to be on the offensive. They're going to be on the defensive right off the bat on the next possession. Argentina's going to try to equalize right away. That's going to be a good question for Canada. If you do score first, what does happen? Well, we've never seen it, so what would happen? They could have done it in the first game. Right. They came close a few times, but they didn't know. So the thing is, when they started to take Canada seriously, especially in the second half, Argentina went on the offensive. And then that's when they started putting the ball into that. The only thing was that Canada game exploited USA's respect for the soccer field. That field was put in at least 48 hours before in patches. So when Messi or Di Maria had those breakaways, the seams between the grass were making the ball bounce. That's why they had almost no control of the ball to take those shots. Yeah. Those fields were in poor shape. So the field will make a huge difference too, because like I said, Argentina likes to keep the ball low. So if they need to dribble and the field's all shoddy, that's going to be a problem. Those passes won't be as smooth. Right. But that's the thing. That's going to be fun. You see, Colombia is ready for a dogfight. They don't care. They know they're going to most likely lose, so they're at least going to go out bleeding. They don't. That's how they're going to go down. They're going to take at least one with them. But Canada, we'll see if they score first. How do they react? That's going to be them to answer for us to see.
Yeah, I mean, Uruguay was ready for that too when it was 0-0 against the U.S. and they were, Berhalter is telling the team that Bolivia just equalized. We're good. Uruguay was ready to kind of pack it in and just kind of rough it up. So, Uruguay is not, you're absolutely right that this is going to be a street fight. It's definitely going to be one of those days. It's going to be a rough day at the office for everybody in that match.
It's going to be like it's going to be like Chael Sonnen and Forrest Griffin UFC fight. Oh, God. You're going to tell your friends, turn on, who's never watched soccer, put this game on. It's ugly. And like we said, like the Copa is like a knife fight where the Europeans like a tea party. You know, it's like, okay, let's go to this thing now. Well, they're so lax on every team that their own defenders are scoring because it's that boring. Because and I think with the Euro, what's happening is France might only win this now because they just have talent on their team. They're just lucky to have two squads in one. They're not going to win because they're actually dominating. They're going to probably win because they're going to be the last man standing. No team right now in Europe has an identity. When England used to be a threat, they had a Rooney, they had a Beckham. Who's your guy now? Kane? When you look at Germany, your best guys are starting to retire. They're starting to kick it in. You know, hang up the boots. So it's like, all right, yeah, we're tall, we're powerhouse, we're structured, but what is your identity on the field? Are you going to be midfield dominant? Are you going to be forward dominant? They don't have an identity. They don't know what game plan. You usually know what's going to come out of Germany. You just have to deal with it. And hopefully you come out on top. You don't have that right now with them.
Germany was very disappointing.
Yeah, and Spain, okay, yeah, we have some young guns. They're quick, they're fast, but you're getting deeper. So we're going to see what Spain's really about because they're relying too much on young talent. And
if I hear that Lamine Yamal is only 17 again, like, dude, I get it. Like, and that's the thing, like, they're getting fined because they're violating labor laws. Like, legit. Like, Spain is getting they're getting fined because he's 17. He's underage. Yeah. And it's just like, he can't be working after 8 p.m. and all their matches are after 8 p.m.
It's like the Olsen twins clause.
Shit. Does he have a permission slip from his mom? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, and you know, the biggest thing about the Euro is, why is Belgium always top 5 in the world when they never get past like the quarters? Like,
because they have Kevin De Bruyne. Like, that's it.
Like, they have chocolate. That's all it is. Like, stop. Why are you always top 5? You're a disappointment. Outside of Holland, you're like the Buffalo Bills because you always get close enough but never win the damn thing. But yeah, so I think in a lot of teams in Europe, Italy, so disappointing. You won the last Euro, didn't make the World Cup, and now you're just like getting booted out of this damn thing. Like, you're not even trying anymore. But
Italy doesn't have a striker though.
Italy doesn't even have the defense. Italy doesn't have nothing. They got nothing because they have no identity. They need a person with a pair of balls to say, this is each team has to say, this is what we're going to be founded. This is what we're going to recruit talent based off of. This is what we're going to do. These teams got so comfortable thinking, oh, we have a Balotelli, or we have a Rooney, or we have this guy, and then we'll just build around it. That soccer's not like that no more.
No.
You know? And that's what's happening in Europe. Nobody has an identity. It just happens to be that France is just not playing good enough, but doing enough to win. That's literally all it is. So they might just pull it off with their eyes closed because half of Europe, and they say, oh, Europe suffered. It really isn't. It really isn't. I think it's, to me, like the European leagues, the club teams are like college football. They're always stacked. But when you separate them, put them on their respective countries, now you got yourself a tournament. You're like, wait, so if you're that good, why do you struggle with South American teams? Why you got your hands full with Japan or or South Korea? Why all of a sudden you can't beat Morocco?
It's a valid question.
If you're so dominant of a region, you're struggling with these African nations or these subpar South American nations, but you're so dominant, right?
Right. I mean, you got guys like, just look at England, Netherlands, right? Like, you have Memphis Depay, you have Virgil van Dijk, you have studs on the Netherlands, and then you have two fucking full starting 11s in the Premier League for England. So, and England has been so disappointing and so mediocre, it's not even funny. And there's just no aggression. Like you were talking about, like, what's their style of football? It's just so bland. Like, I mean, Kane is their 9, but it's almost like Bellingham. Like, they want Jude to be the guy,
but he's not.
He's not. And at the same time, like, you have so much talent on that team. You've got Foden. You've got, you can go down the list, man. Like, it's.
But here's the thing: you listed them as individuals.
Right.
When we spoke about South American teams, we spoke about as teams.
Right. That's
the difference. All these guys are individual talents on club teams. They don't mesh well together because they all get uber salaries. They all come in with exotic cars, and they all dress to the 9 and hip hop and all this, and they try to be their own person on the field. They can't. When you're under the flag, it's different than under the club. Like I said, the club it's like a college program. You got the Peyton Mannings on one side, and you got the wide receiver that's like whomever it is. The reality is these guys aren't meshing in their country's banner. Where in South America, like Scaloni's already planning life without Messi while he's there. Because even if he's not the coach for the next World Cup, he's saying at least this team doesn't care who's the coach as long as they know they can score and hold the other team from not scoring. That's what they're working on. Same thing as Uruguay. They're trying to figure out as a team. Yes, we want Suarez there in case where, times is tough. We could throw him in the 80th minute. We know we can still put in points from 30 yards out. Yeah. Great. He's like the Dennis Rodman of the team. He'll disrupt something. Colombia, you can say how much you can say, but the thing is, they're playing well as a team. In Europe, they're individuals who just don't play well as a team. And that's why, outside of France, who came from the pressures of the finals, they have to win this one to redeem themselves. They literally do. Mm-hmm. You got beat by the team you said, was inferior to you a month before the tournament. Mbappe himself said it. South American teams are inferior to them, right? So they have no choice but to win this tournament. Plus, he's going into Real Madrid, most likely, right?
It's done. It's a done deal.
Yeah, exactly. So, with a
the
broken nose and everything.
The Ninja Turtle is going to be in Real Madrid.
So with that broken nose and everything, he has to go in there knowing he was a winner. Because when he went back to PSG, not only was he a loser, his teammate was the winner. So he has to go in there winning this thing. So that's why I think France is going to pull it out. I know there's hype around this young Spaniard, but again, no identity. You have no midfield. Most of Spain was run by the mid, and they don't have it. Italy was always anchored by the defense. They don't have it. England usually had a good forward or mid. They don't have it. They're just playing on hopes and dreams. Yeah. Yeah. Where's this Holland guy from what is he, Switzerland or whatever?
Oh, he's Norwegian.
Where's this guy at?
Didn't even qualify. Exactly. Norway didn't even qualify.
Everybody's like, Ballon d'Or, going to be the next generational talent. Yeah? Where's he now? Exactly. He's just a good straight line runner. He's like what's her name from the WNBA, Angel Reese. Gets his own rebound and then scores. So you're going to have a double-double. Congrats.
No, he is very flawed. Like, as much as I appreciate what Erling Haaland does, he is a bull in the china shop. You're absolutely right. Yeah. All he's gonna do is it's power. It's all power. There's no finesse.
Randy Moss.
It's like
Randy Johnson. Straight big unit. He's tall. He runs a straight line.
Well, he runs as fast as Randy Moss though. Like, dude's got speed, and like he's building up a head of steam. Like this crazy ass fucking this Norwegian dude is coming at you running. He looks like a Viking. I would give up the ball too. Like,
and then, but what happens when you go on a national team? Nothing. Different story. Because all these, you see, and this is what's important. You got to put your individual pride in the back pocket and play for the flag. These guys are doing the reverse. They're playing for themselves under the flag. They're not playing for the flag. And that's their problem in Europe right now. And that's almost every team in Europe. That's why I'm hoping to God a great team comes out of Africa. Aside from Morocco, I'm hoping to God there's a team that by the time the World Cup comes around, starts whooping some butt, because I want to be around when an African team wins the World Cup.
I would love it to be Egypt just because I love Mo Salah. I really like him as a player.
Yeah, I wouldn't even disagree with that. But, I think FIFA does so much to make sure an African team doesn't get close outside the Morocco thing that happened. But yeah, it's just like Europe has been so catered to. I mean, the headquarters in France are crying out loud. Like, their budgets in these Premier Leagues are so high. These guys are getting paid so much. And here's the thing that people forget. Your coach gets paid like $3 million a season if you're lucky. But your man is making $50 to $60 million a season. Most of your team is getting multiple that what you're getting. Your worst player is probably getting $10 million. How do you control that on the field? My father used to tell me that all the time. How do you, as a coach, overcome that? You can't. It's hard. It's very hard. That's why a lot of the same teams win, because it's just a pure talent and recruitment. How many countries have actually won the World Cup? I think it's like 8 now.
Yeah, it hasn't been that many.
It's still single digits.
Yeah.
So the reality is these coaches don't know, because they only deal with them for a short period of time because they play so many club games. But that's why like Central and South Americans, when we get the national flag on their backs, we're like rooting for them a million, because we know that's a big, big deal. And those guys don't forget where they come from. So that's another thing.
Yeah, I mean that's a big deal. Like next month, actually in a couple of weeks, we're going to be talking about the Olympics, and the theory, the idea that you're bringing up about a collection of athletes, a collection of talent versus a team. Like, we're going to be looking at that for U.S. men's basketball. Like, dude, like, we're looking at the roster. Like, there's so many guys who are 34 and over. Like, and then you have guys like Anthony Edwards. Like, who are you running this team through? You're running through 39-year-old LeBron. You're going to run through 36-year-old Steph.
Yeah, and then you have Anthony Edwards saying, "I'm the man on this team. They're gonna have to run it through me." So he's already running his mouth. So, right. I mean, I think everybody's money's on France right now for the upset, which I don't see. I can't disagree with it. It's a valid opinion to have. Is saying France has a stacked team, and but then again, you got to watch out for like countries like Spain and Argentina. You know,
I mean,
these teams, when they wear their flag, they don't do it for the money. They do it for the flag. You know, and don't forget, you know what's a big difference with like European soccer and South American soccer, or the talent that goes. Mm-hmm. You got to remember this. Most fans don't realize this. South Americans sacrifice their livelihoods in their hometowns or their countries to go play in Europe. So they make the best of that moment. Europeans don't go across the world to play. They stay right where they live. So again, now you're seeing this talent that flies 7,000 miles for months at a time, not seeing their family. And yes, they might live a lavish lifestyle, but it's not the same from where you grew up. And the reality is they gave up a lot more to play, so they're going to make the best of that decision. And that's what we're seeing right now. A lot of these Europeans like, oh, whatever. I'm 20 minutes from my house. I'll go home. You know, call it a day.
And they also don't have the pressure of what comes with that wealth. You know, you don't have an orchestrated kidnapping attempt. You know, like with Douglas Luiz's family, I think? Yeah, they tried to...
Well, even Messi had it in Argentina.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, the mafia, so there was some mafia gang out there, some cartels like, oh, he got and Rosario saying, oh, we're going to take over his grandma's house. And the government took care of that very quickly. But it's like, yeah, I mean, this is insane. These guys travel and spend most of their lives overseas versus the guys that are overseas just sitting put.
Right.
It's a big difference to play. And they give up so much more. Like the only reason Messi took Miami outside of the investment was he wants to be able to go trick-or-treating with his kids. He's already done it all. Yeah. You know? And he still has his team in first place. So what else does he have?
My man's went and got a public sub. It was the first thing he did.
You know?
Yeah. It's like, what is this? I've been missing out my entire life.
And now he plays with his friends, where guys like LeBron did it early on. And now they're just ruining franchises playing on the Lakers.
Yeah.
So it's like, he's doing this at the end of his career. He's like, all right, I'll have to play by myself for no big deal. Oh, now you're available? Come on, play. Come on, let's go retire to something.
The other thing is that Messi's kids are young, so he can't really do what LeBron's trying to do with Bronny. Cristiano Ronaldo's kid, how old is Cristiano Jr.?
Well,
like
it's funny because they were born exactly the same amount of years and days apart as Messi and Ronaldo. So let's say Ronaldo and Messi 2 years and 2 days apart. Their kids are exactly the same gap.
That's weird.
That's what I read. Someone was like, "That's so insane."
Fucking weird.
The timing of that is so unreal.
It's like, oh, you got to have a kid? I got to have to have a kid.
If Beckham is smart, he'll somehow. Because I read this somewhere, but I don't know how true it was. It was just like he was trying to negotiate Ronaldo first season, and I'm like, honestly,
shit.
I'm surprised FIFA hasn't figured out a way to put them both on the team where they can say, Ronaldo, you pick half the squad, Messi, you pick half the squad, and you just play the best of the world that remain and just do a world tour. Like, do the best of each country that you go play in. Because it's like, what kid in the last 30 years, 40, does not want to see them at least on the same team? You know how many goals Messi would give Ronaldo? Like, that's the best John Stockton, Karl Malone tangent we would ever have on the team. But we're never going to see it.
We're never going to see it because of ego. And I can't really say whose ego. Because, I mean, Messi's got an ego. Like, he's a selfless player, but dude's got an ego.
He's quiet about it. But I think it's not even about the money for Messi. I just think he doesn't want to make it all about Ronaldo. You know, it's just like, hey, listen, just make it an equal thing. Make it about the game. But yeah, I don't want to play with you unless you're willing to play with me. Like, this is something where they got to negotiate face to face.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to be like a Zoom. You know, I mean, they didn't even do the Louis Vuitton ad together. They were CGI together. Like, and again, it's because the build up to the World Cup. But if they're like, Ronaldo, we'll give you $100 million, Messi will give you $100 million, and like another $100 million to any foundation, and even charge it for the stream on like the Zone or whatever it's called. Like, what fan wouldn't pay to see that? What fan wouldn't pay $1,000 for a ticket to be in the stadium when that took place?
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, do it now, man. Just get it over with. Just one game or maybe the best of three. Who cares? I'll put them on the same team. But yeah, we might never see that. And I don't understand how FIFA, who wants to price gouge everybody, doesn't do that already.
It's got to be ego, man. I mean, I'm sure that I'm sure they've thought of it. I'm sure this was an idea, like the barnstorming. I'm sure like they would happily do that.
MLS, when it launched, I'll never forget this. The All-Star game of the very first MLS season was in the old Giant Stadium. I went to it. I had somewhere in my, basketball card collection. I had probably still the tickets. And the second part of the doubleheader was Brazil against the world. And that squad was, you had Batistuta, Zanetti. You had real players on that team. And that was, I think, a 6-4 game, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was 8-12 goals in that game. And Brazil did win. But I'm just saying, like, they pulled that off. And all those guys put their egos aside to come to the United States to play that game in an MLS inaugural season. And you're talking about Brazil's stacked team against a stacked U.S. world team. It wasn't like a bunch of no-names. It wasn't just like you and I and that. No. They were real players on that team. And they went at it. They fairly went at it. It wasn't like the NBA All-Star games, like, oh, you can run by me and shoot a goal for 20. No. You had to earn it.
No, that's the thing about soccer. Like the MLS All-Star game's coming up, and they're going to play a legit game against the Liga MAX. And we're going to, they're probably going to get their asses kicked. But, like, they play a legit game. There's no, like, goofing around when soccer games, when they happen. Like, there's none of that. It's not the Pro Bowl, Like, none of that shit.
Like, the only time you saw that antic was when the MLS All-Star game, where it was Jorge Campos ran the ball up to, like, 3/4 of the field and took a shot on net. But that's kind of that was his thing. He actually played forward in Mexico before they put him as a keeper during a game, and he became really good at it. He knows how to play with the ball. So he brought that ball like 3/4 of the field, took a shot, and ran all the way back. That's the only time you would see an antic, but he had to earn that movement. It's not like they just gave it to him.
Right. I don't know. Like, you would think, like, if there was enough money, they would have figured it out by now. Shit. Like, I mean, Saudi tried it. Saudi could not find Messi's number.
No, you know what it was? I think it was more of a cultural comfort for Messi. His family wanted to be somewhere they felt comfortable that wasn't so, like, his wife doesn't want to be banned to wearing, like, certain outfits, and his kids don't know the language. And, they already just spent their whole lives in Barcelona. So really for him is either go back to Argentina or go somewhere that can kind of meet in the middle. And to be honest with you, Miami is perfectly situated. Timing couldn't have been better. The neighborhood couldn't have been more perfect. Tax-wise, even too. Don't forget taxes. Yeah. You could have gone to Cali, but those taxes are brutal. They're just as worse as New York. And how long is his flight to Argentina? Probably 10 hours. How much would it have been from around the world? 25 to...
Yeah.
Even on a private jet, you'd have to have a layover, most likely. And, you've been doing it for 30-something years. You want to keep doing that? No. You want to be able to get on a plane and be somewhere in 10 hours, go home. Go to your real home, your original home.
Right.
That's why his wife said, this makes more sense. We could fly our family up here, and U.S. is not going to give us a problem. We could fly our family back, or we can go back. Nobody's going to give us a problem. But to do that, one flight, 30 hours? Nah. In the air, you know what it is to be in a plane for 30 hours? Absurd.
Nah, dude, I did a car ride from friggin' Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and I couldn't walk getting out of the car. So no, I can't do even if it's a private jet, you can move around. You still got to deal with that. You still got to make sure the blood is flowing, man.
Yeah, you're still in a confined space. Like when I flew from Chicago to Abu Dhabi, that was 18 hours, I think. Yeah, the seats were a little more bigger, but they were nothing dramatic. Like I had to literally walk the length of the plane every few hours after a nap, just because I needed to stretch. Like, Messi don't want to do that no more.
No,
plus the abuse in his body, it would be terrible. But you see, where does Ronaldo live originally to where Saudi Arabia is? A lot closer.
Right.
That's probably, an 8-hour flight?
To Portugal? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, for Messi, that's really out of his scope of things. So that's why it made a lot of sense. And like I said, his money's not coming up front, it's coming through investment. So it's like good for him. I mean, he doesn't have to really work. I mean, he definitely has cash in a bank account, so it's not like really a big deal for him.
True. I mean, Michelob, Lay's, like he's got endorsements coming in.
If he hopefully he never touches drugs like Maradona, but what people don't realize is when he walks in Argentina, they give him stuff he's never got to pay in his life, nor his kids. So it's like the government's going to kill him in a house, most likely. They're going to make him put him on a coin or something. So it is what it is. You know, they cherish Maradona. He was a drug user to the last days of his soccer life, and they still loved him. So this guy's even cleaner than that. So of course they're going to give him anything he wants.
He's earned
That's
it.
the thing. That's why it wasn't just the money. What Saudi Arabia wants to do was create the UFC of all sports. They wanted to have all their best remainings dogfight it out and make it like a cockfight, but for soccer. Benzema over there, Ronaldo over there, Messi over there, Neymar over here, and let's just go at it every few days. But that's not really soccer. That's just dogfighting. That's great.
Yeah,
I'll watch it every once in a while, but I'm not going to watch it all season long.
Cristiano Ronaldo had 50-something goals against plumbers and guys who were probably paid not to touch him.
Yeah. That's the scary part. You know, some of these guys probably had to pull back on their talent for him to shine. And I'm not saying it was like a lot easier, but then again, we don't know. We don't know how Saudi Arabia reacts, you know? We don't. So it's just like, you know, MLS is just an equal talented league, I would say. Put them in the same tier. But at least he's doing something for himself. Ronaldo, I don't think he was happy with his Saudi move. I mean, they had to change living laws for him and his girlfriend, not wife. Just for the Sharia laws or whatever laws they have out there.
Yeah.
They literally had to amend some just for him to be there, which is absurd. Good, but weird at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a culture shock. So you wonder how many of these guys are going to stay long term. Probably none of them. I mean, I think like Riyad Mahrez went over there, but I believe he's Muslim. So it's one of those things that, okay, like he can acclimate to Saudi because he's already Muslim. He already understands Sharia law. He understands, the ins and outs of that to some degree. Not that he agreed. Maybe I don't know him personally. I don't know if he is more, conservative, more liberal on his things, but he understands them. Like to have a guy like Karim Benzema just be like, okay, I'm here now, or like a guy like Henderson. Jordan Henderson, just like, here, I'm just going to go from the Premier League. This is going to be awesome. 6 months, he's like, get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I mean, look at Neymar. I mean, Neymar, they wanted him so bad because they missed out on Messi that they were paying this guy his salary, whatever that number was again, I forgot. On top of having 2 mansions and 1 luxury sedan, 1 SUV, and 1 sports car, plus a house for his entourage and maid service. And for every post he made on Instagram about Saudi Arabia and a positive life, he got paid $800,000. So you're telling me this league is so good that you have to force this guy per posting of Instagram?
Right.
Like, that's crazy. I mean, I would do it. But, and he obviously
we all would.
Yeah. But that's how desperate they were to be relevant. Where Beckham, on the other hand, was like, yo, listen, we'll give you shares in Apple, the streaming of the MLS, your documentary, and we'll pay you like whatever, 10, 20 million up front. You'll be the highest player going forward. But whatever endorsement deal is all you. Okay, great. And you could probably own a team, own half the team or a new team on your own later on when you retire. Great. Like, that was, it's just weird. That money's great and most of us would take it, but will you be happy? Like, will you really enjoy it? And I don't see Ronaldo finishing his life over there.
He can't. No way.
There's no way.
No, absolutely not. Like that league is eventually going to collapse on itself. The money, just you can't sustain that kind of money. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, all the oil in the world can't sustain that kind of money. Eventually it's going to burst.
Yeah, they were just, like I said, they were just doing that to like make like celebrity boxing. That's what they were trying to do, celebrity soccer. Because these guys are so rich out there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's sultans that own 2 or 3 of those teams. So he was just buying players for each of his teams. Like, okay, great, you have no money, so like spend that somewhere else. I mean, these guys were smart. They would open up teams in the U.S. market or help invest in like Boca Juniors in South America and then go to Uruguay and one of their but no, they just want to start their own little cockfight tournament out there. Great, knock yourself out with it. But it's a joke. Nobody was talking about that league until Ronaldo signed.
No, completely.
Nobody will be talking about it when he leaves.
You're right. And it's one of those things that Saudi has been dipping their toes in sports. Like, it started with Live Golf. Like, they went and they bought the best players. Like, they bought Ronaldo. They bought Benzema.
The PGA. They bought the PGA.
They essentially bought the best of the PGA, and so now they forced a merger. They're going to force a merger, and then at some point they were trying to get a Saudi baseball league off of the ground. You had guys like Robbie Cano, like Didi Gregorius, like a bunch of retired has-beens or guys that were barely hanging on. Like, all right, we have 4 teams. Let's try and make this happen. And they're throwing money at the problem, and throwing money at the problem doesn't necessarily translate to success.
And for a region of the world that's very conservative thinking and limits certain things, activities, and then you're trying to force your culture into liking these things on a different levels overnight is pretty crazy, and that's why it's not going to work. And most of their like where the people reside are just mainly in Riyadh. Like their towns, it's like Australia where it's like 2 major cities on this massive piece of land. The rest of it is just, and then it's not habitable. That's how Saudi Arabia is. It's mostly desert. So you only have like 3 major cities. So there's not a lot going on compared to its population. So then you're just forcing this talent in there. So you think people are just going to fly over there and watch the game. No. The everyday fan is not just going to go fly over there.
Right. Like if it was in Abu Dhabi, like it's a different story. If it was in like Dubai, like it's a different story.
Should they host a World Cup? Absolutely.
That would be crazy.
But that's the thing. Like that's what they should have done. Host, petition for the next one. But that's already a mess and a half. The 100-year anniversary one after this one is a mess. But
yeah. I mean, so we'll get you out here on this one. Speaking of a mess, we'll get you out here on this one as we move to baseball. So the Mets have come back to life. They're 1 game under 500. They're in the thick of the National League wildcard race.
Yeah.
The bats are alive, sort of. The starters have been decent. The bullpen is just leaking. Diaz is back, but he got into 1 game. Drew Smith needs Tommy John surgery. Ottavino stinks. Jake Diekman shouldn't be on this team. Like, it's a fucking mess. It's an absolute fucking mess in the bullpen. But need I remind you that both World Series teams last year were wild card teams. So I'm saying there's a chance.
Yep.
If you're David Stearns, if you're the GM of the New York Mets, are you staying in this thing or are you punting on the season?
Staying in it, 100%. And I would normally not say that as a Mets fan or a Knicks fan or a Giants fan. But I was saying it. And here's why. Because you know what? If they get close to it or keep this momentum going, there'll be bumps in the road on the way there. That can lure other players to want to be part of that going into next season. It's like the Knicks right now. Players actually want to come back,
Yeah.
And the thing is, we finally have an ownership that's willing to pay. Last year wasn't the owner's fault. He spent up $500 million overnight. So we have a guy willing and wanting to win and show his fans that. So if we have a team that's still willing to grind it out, trading some of these assets I don't think is worth it. Showing a little bit of loyalty to, like, let's say, Alfonso and seeing what the market looks like. Say, listen, we're loyal. We got a fight in us. You want to be part of it. Even if they don't win the World Series or make the playoffs, they can take that into the offseason and sell that. Because if they start unloading now, who's going to want to play here next year on a rebuild?
Right.
Nobody. Anybody that's going to be available is not going to want to play on this team. Even doesn't matter how much money we throw at them because we're still going to get hit with tax. But they'll forget the tax part if we have a team with some fight in them. You see, the Knicks have fight in them. People want to play with us.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, what do you think of the Mikal Bridges trade?
A lot of first-round picks, but then the market's kind of dry. And you know what? These next few drafts, outside of the kid on the dream team right now, that committed to Duke, there's no big names, no like generational talent, quote unquote. So it's like giving up those draft picks isn't really so bad right now, because can you name a top prospect for the next draft next year? No. Can you? Exactly. And outside of maybe the 2000 draft or the 2010 draft, like that were like primarily all busts except for what's the name, Kenyon Martin's year. Like, where are these players going to go? I mean, its 55th pick was LeBron James' son this year. So giving up those picks, hey, listen, if I'm going to give up all those picks for one guy that A's an Iron Man, jinx, no jinx, that he doesn't get hurt now in the Knicks, but he's played with 3 other guys.
Yeah.
Why not? Just get it over with, figure it out. At least the Knicks are trying this year. Where every year it's like rebuild. Oh, we're stuck with Carmelo because we give up 48 draft picks and a team, and all those players won rings somewhere else. Where here it's like, hey, Give it up. Because you know what's going to happen? These guys are going to play hard and lose again. Unless we can trade them at their best. That's fine. You know what? I'll take that. And I don't care about the coach runs them to the ground. So what? They're getting paid. They want to play. And they want to play hurt. Kudos to that. I don't do this time management nonsense.
No.
I don't believe in that. You're going to pay me $40 million a year. I'm going to play 82 games as best as I can.
Totally. I mean, it definitely. But lest we forget, they finished second in the East this year, and they probably, they're a Jalen Brunson fractured hand away from being in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Celtics.
And all they did was inflate the price of everybody else that's on the free agent market that every other team that has to take that paycheck to the face, like Paul George, absurd. But that's great because the Knicks got a younger guy. Right. Listen, we thought $20 million a year for Jalen Brunson was over. That guy's worth 40 at this point. Give him 50, knock himself out. But going back to the Mets, I would actually keep pushing to the end, till the wheels fall off. Because like I said, you're either going to have a lot of good momentum going through the offseason to build on, and some talent you could go up in a trade, or you're going to show them again that there's always next year mentality.
The same old Mets. But a crazy rumor, I don't know if you heard this, is that the Rangers are actually looking to dump players. So the immediate connection was that the Mets would be interested in reacquiring David Robertson and Max Scherzer for the stretch run. Like, as a Met fan, would you want any part of Max Scherzer the way he left last year?
Well, here's the thing. There was something up with that deal to begin with. To give him that contract, for him to get up and leave so fast, it didn't make sense to me. I'm like, wait, something was done with this deal. It's almost like the Mets knew that if they probably told him in advance, hey, listen, if we don't do so good, we'll just move you to a contender, just come back if we start doing bad. Like, it's almost like there was a backdoor conversation. Because think of the contract the Mets gave him and then basically just sent him on his way.
Yeah.
It's possibly just getting him back another year later.
And getting a top prospect for him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I almost feel like that was premeditated, like the Mets knew something, or like they just were they just gambled big and said, listen, we'll pay you well. Just if you don't like it here, we'll try to move you to a team you like, but if they start sucking, come back. It's kind of like one of those things that's like, I wouldn't be upset at Scherzer because I would have probably done the same thing he did. Pick up my bag, get a nice paycheck. Wasn't working out. The team that just picked me up is willing to give me to a team that I'm willing to go to.
Yeah.
That's usually not the case in many sports teams. And now they're probably even open to me coming back to help them again. I mean, didn't the Yankees do that with the Chicago Cubs with what's his name? The relief pitcher, Chapman. Like they let him on his way and they took him right back. Right? So
fucking morons.
Outside of the DeGrom, outside of DeGrom, who I always believe, like, I'm not mad that he wanted to leave. I'm not mad that he left. I think his family just didn't like the city life. They're just not city people. But he gave us everything he had. He won a few Cy Youngs, and now he's injured over there. Go. Have fun with that.
But my thing is this. Is that, you know what? For 6 months, you don't have to be city people. Like, he's a big boy. He can come on off days. He can come on breaks. Like, you don't have to be, you don't have to be with your family. You just go play. Like, you can do that. And it's like Jacob Trouba with the Rangers. Like, he's holding up a trade. According to reports, he's holding up a trade because of his wife's medical residency. Yeah. And the fact that he doesn't want to uproot his family. I understand that. But at the same time, it's a business, dude. Like,
you see, the thing is, these teams now have to get softer with these players. Listen, we traded Patrick Ewing after one injury. You know what I'm saying? Like, for Vin Baker, who now works a manager of the Starbucks in Seattle.
Enjoy Seattle, buddy.
The Bulls almost lost Jordan. And it's crazy for Tony Kukoc, who wasn't even in the country yet until '92. So those teams were that generation was very cutthroat. This generation of management isn't so much, and that's what happens. You start. Listen, I get CBAs and all collective bargaining agreement areas, but the reality is, it is a business, and you are a commodity to that business. Your say isn't as much in my decision making as much as my money is, because I'm investing in you to put that investment out there for the people who invest in us, which are the fans. You want to start being a whiner, I should be able to pull back money then, because the fans don't want to see you no more.
Right.
If you're going to sit there on the bench until your wife's job gets relocated, that's great, but I shouldn't pay you as much. You see, we've gotten away from like the incentives of contracts. I think the NFL is the biggest culprit of this. We're giving the Tony Romos and the Dak Prescotts these major contracts so they throw fantasy football numbers during the regular season. But how many rings have you gotten me lately?
Right.
But we're going to pay you $40 million a year? That's absurd. Those types of contracts have loosened. And then obviously the era of LeBron James playing with his best friends, all these new players think they can do that now. When a team's offering them the bag, they think now they can make other types of decisions. But you're a part of a generation like I am, where it's like, no, go, bye.
It's this idea of like players needing to have say on free agency, having say on coaching decisions. You're the player. You're not management. Mm-hmm. You're the talent. Like, talent and management should not be the same. Look at Bill Belichick when he was the coach and the GM. When he ran it into the ground as the GM.
And look at Mbappe with PSG. They were giving him team decision-making abilities that ruined his relationship with Neymar, who at once he said he idled until that relationship went sour because of his leadership of the Met team that they gave him. And then all of a sudden his idol is Ronaldo. But you see, like, Real Madrid might shoot themselves in the foot with this deal. You know, a lot of players globally are doing this where they want say without being the GMs. And what's the whole point of a GM and a coach? You know, at this point, LeBron should have been the coach.
Well, that's what they're saying with JJ Redick, is that he is the coach and he's just going to, like, JJ Redick is his avatar.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, we saw the podcast. Oh, by the way, he's now our coach. And we drafted my son. And I'm sleeping with his mom. So I'm the first player, I'm the greatest player in history that sleeps with a player and the coaches. You know, tables are reversed. That guy slept with my mom in Cleveland. Now I'm going to sleep with this kid's mom.
Right.
Think about that. Like, these players' power. I'm just throwing the irony in there, but it's just weird that in this generation of sports, you're seeing more emotional decision making versus business decision making, and that's what you get now. You get the result of that. You get a DeGrom that wants to leave a team like that. You're not. How many times? I don't know how many more years are going to be left in sports where you're not going to get a 1990s Yankees team where it was all farm system.
Right.
Versus I have to buy you for 3 years. Hopefully you don't throw a hissy fit, and I don't have to trade you because you're pouting in the bench. Where the Yankees had Derek Jeter for how many years? For Mariano Rivera for how many years? I mean, who was it? Tino Martinez and Paul O'Neill and Don Mattingly. Like, the list goes on and on.
But we're also, like, nobody wants to stick it out anymore. The moment it gets tough or the moment, like, things turn, get me the fuck out of here. Like, look at Stephon Diggs in Buffalo. Stephon Diggs knows that they're going to be bad this year, so he's like, get me the hell out of here. Like, yeah, I'm not dealing with this.
That's what you're seeing in all sports everywhere. You're getting the Mbappe, the LeBrons, the DeGroms. You're getting them all, and you're going to see it a lot more as we get older and these players get younger because the teams are letting them get away with it. It's literally part of the CBAs.
Yeah,
where they get to decide what teams. They have to write down the list. Like, it's a writer for a podcast. Like, yeah, I'll be on your podcast. You just got to make sure I have white M&Ms and white flowers. Like, no, like, either you're on it, you're in it, or you're not. That's it.
It's true. And like, the old school mentality doesn't really work, and you have to reinvent yourself. Like, that's why Tibbs is working right now. Like, Tibbs was a hard ass in Chicago, and now he has players that want to be coached that way, but he also has softened. Like, look at Tom Coughlin. Tom Coughlin had to have a major reality check.
Oh my God, yeah, because everybody's feelings were hurt because he was saying mean words, and it's like, here we are. We're now in a generation where everything has to be PC, coddled, but I still need you to be at your best. We don't even know what some of these players can do at their best because they're not performing at their best.
They don't know what they can do at their best because they've never been pushed.
Yeah, they've never been pushed to the edge. I mean, we grew up in a generation where Larry Bird got held back by Charles Barkley and he got punched in the face by Dr. J, and all they was throwing out was like a personal foul. You know, and he still took the jump shots. Yeah. Kobe Bryant tore his ACL, walked across the court, took 2 foul shots, then walked himself off, where LeBron got carried off for a leg cramp. Two different things, like 2 different generations.
No, completely.
You know, and it's like, that's where we are, and that's what you're going to see a lot of. When they get the bag, they think they make all the decisions until the bag stops coming.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And you know what? If you're the Mets, like, maybe it gives you some pause, but at the same time, like, you know who you're dealing with. With Scherzer, you've kind of negotiated with him before, so like maybe it becomes a little easier of a pill to swallow, except the fact that he's going to have dead arm in September. Like you already know he's damaged goods. So it's really, you're getting David Robertson.
But you're still paying for his contract anyway. I mean, you're already paying for it when he was in Alex, Texas.
Right.
Like they were paying about 50% of it still. So it's not like it's not a dent to the wallet of our owner.
And it's a really fucked up world that you're living in sports world right now. The Mets are rooting for Justin Verlander to stay on the IL so they don't have to pay him next year. Like it's a weird it's a weird scenario, man. Like he has to hit a certain innings threshold or the Mets have to pay. So like you take your sweet time, Justin. Like
exactly.
You know,
how's Upton doing?
Exactly. Go spend some time with your wife. Like just go chill, dude.
If you don't, I will. Basically.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean like I said, that's the world we're living in. You get the bag, and then you start crying.
Yep. Well, you know the one thing we don't have to worry about is you're not going to be crying, and nope, not at all. So you got FCK Clout. What's going on with that? Like, what can we expect to see in the future? What do you got in the works for us?
Hopefully, some lawsuits, some cease and desist orders on creative designs that are dropping soon that are trademark infringing on certain companies. Like I did the Bass Pro Shop logo.
Oh shit, really?
I put the FCKclout.com instead of Bass Pro Shop, and I put a hook through the fish's mouth so I can interfere with likeness. But I'm gonna start branding I'm gonna start attacking some brands and sell my product at a cheaper price, and hopefully people pick up on it. That it gets me the notoriety to get me the blue badge. But eventually I'll get some cease and desist orders. But that's fine. I'll take it.
I mean, I know you were doing some Portnoy inspired stuff. Like, did he come after you, or did what happened with the Portnoy stuff?
No, you see, that was just bad timing. So what happened was that was for his Pizza Fest last September.
Yeah,
I was gonna drop them off and do a whole thing, but then I ended up at a doctor's appointment for my shoulders, and I couldn't go. So I was like, oh. Plus it was raining, so I was like, I'm not even forcing myself to Coney Island for that.
No,
going to Coney Island on the sunny days is just as bad as going on a rainy day. So I didn't end up going. So that design just sits around. But again, I'm just trying to connect with anybody and everybody. I just did a logo for this gentleman in Miami who sells and rents exotic cars. It's called Just Paid Exotics. Nice. So I mean, if anybody's listening, go on his Instagram. His name is Brandon Connolly, if I'm not mistaken. I did the podcast with Getting Our Lives Together with these two lovely ladies who reached out, and I sent them merch. I was actually their first sponsor for one of their podcasts.
Nice.
We're starting season 2 as well. Eventually, hopefully I'll do merch for you.
Absolutely. We definitely need to sit down and talk some merch.
Yeah, because I mean, the designs are easy for me to put together. I can get them on shirts and get them in your hands within 10 business days. So, and then we go from there. But honestly, I'm just trying to go anywhere. So when I go to like DR and stuff, I'm bringing hats, like business cards. I bring what's called party hats.
Nice.
And it'll have the website on the back side of it. So I throw them out, and people, going to wear them when they're drunk. They're going to wake up and say, where'd this hat come from? They see the website and like, oh, that's where it came from. So I have towels that have my brand on it, like that I just bring to the beaches for myself, and I accidentally leave them around. Like I'm always branded. Always branded.
It's a good strategy, man. It's you're always keeping your name on other people's lips. So that's the way to do it, man. And
I'm doing this while keeping our clothes on, is what I always say.
Yes. There you go. Like that's extra. Like you want that, you're going to have to pay a little bit more.
Exactly. But yes, sir. That's really what I got going with the brand. Hopefully we'll be verified by this time next year.
Sounds like a plan, man. And definitely, you know what? If Portnoy's doing Pizza Fest this year down in Coney Island, just let me know and I'll come down. I'm always down for some pizza.
Let's find out about tickets for the Miami game in New York City if Messi's going to play.
Yeah.
I go check that game out. That'll be fun content.
We have to do another Met game. Like, we got a lot of things that we need to be doing.
That was an eventful day.
Oh, that was a very eventful day. Always. Yes. Always. But it's always a good time when Gil Godoy of FCK Clout comes on the in route. Yes. And if you want to be on the in route, hit us up, faderoutemail@gmail.com, slide in our DMs on IG at Faderoute Podcast, or drop us a line on X at FadeRouteDNZ, and make sure that you also follow at FCK Clout on YouTube, on Instagram. What else you got?
every social media, Thread, Snapchat, fck.clout, same handle for all of them. You name the social media, I'm on it.
There you go. So, Gil Godoy, thank you for coming on, brother. And
always a pleasure.
We will see you again soon.
Sounds good.
Thanks for listening to this episode of our podcast. If you liked what you heard and you want to hear more, be sure to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Leave us a review, rate us 5 stars, turn on subscription notifications, and share on social media. Tell your friends and spread the word.